So, welcome to Sunday school. What? Aren't you going to sing me a song? So, Karen Drucker actually wrote this wonderful song. She is an amazing singer-songwriter, and her this song is about intention setting. And I invite you, as you kind of, it's intentionally written so it's catchy and so you can pick it up really quickly. And her intention is that you can use it throughout the week. So I have some friends who are going to help me. And her belief is that, no matter what is going on, we have the power to choose how our day is going to go, how we're going to feel about what's going on. And so let's choose wisely. So we got together and we all sort of thought about things we would actually like to be feeling. And with the help of the amazing Leo, we've written it down. So it's going to be kind of, I don't know what order we're going to sing it in, but we're going to figure it out. Because we have Leo, who's got the pointer. So as each verse comes around, we'll look over to Leo and he'll tell us, what am I feeling now? And then we'll sing it together. So you get the idea, right? Hit it! What do I want my day to be? I choose. What do I want to feel today? I choose. What do I want to be today? I choose. I choose. I choose. I choose.
Something to do. Hey, good morning. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, that has to do with what I'm talking about today. Now, I called today's talk, I don't know much about spirit, but I know what I like. Comes from an old line, I don't know much about art, but I know what I like. I have a friend who wrote into a song lyric, I don't know much about history, but I know what I like. And so it says that we pick and choose. We just pick and choose all day long. And we keep trying to pick what we like and ignore what we don't like. I don't like that, so that's not going to be part of my spirituality. No, tithing, no way, I don't care for that. Forgiveness, forget that. I don't like the Old Testament. And I don't like half of the New Testament. I'm just going to go with Matthew. That's enough. We'll go with the first book, and hopefully that'll work out for me. I found a reading in my favorite book, the Holy Spirit's Interpretation of the New Testament. And it comes from John, the Gospel of John, chapter 5. Starts with verse 1, and it says, do you want to be healed? One would think the answer would be yes, wouldn't it? One would think. Yeah, do you want to be healed? Do you want to welcome the light as yourself and as your only truth? When you say yes to this question, without hesitation or exception, for anything you seem to see or know or experience, you will be healed. When you say yes to this question, without hesitation or exception, for anything you seem to see or know or experience, you will be healed. And you will know the light fully. Nothing can keep this knowledge from you, because this knowledge is what you are. All that you can keep the knowledge of your truth from you. It's oddly written. All that you can keep the knowledge of your truth from you, that's it, is your desire not to know it of yourself. So, to know your truth of yourself, you must also welcome your truth unto all that you see and think and know and believe. You cannot keep the truth from anything and know the completeness of the light. The light must be welcomed fully, because the light is everything. Or you are not welcoming the light, and you are choosing to keep it hidden. Verse 10 says, all that you see and experience is of your choice. So you know what you are choosing by that which you see and experience. And that statement, if you understand it, has got to be disconcerting for some of you. I'll read it again. All that you see and experience is of your choice. All that you see and experience is of your choice. So you know what you are choosing by that which you see and experience. How many here are just putting puppies and kittens on their Facebook page? That's it. You have no opinions otherwise. Because, you see, what we're spreading out into the world is what we're experiencing. Because I am choosing to see it this way, and I know it's a bear. It's just so hard in this day and age. Can you imagine what it was like in biblical times? Geez, they were nasty in biblical times, especially the Old Testament. If Joshua was coming to town, you knew there was going to be trouble with those walls. And today, does anybody listen to the news? It's difficult. It's challenging. I was at a friend's home last night, and as she's going through some health healing challenges. Recently she was diagnosed, something happened in her leg, and now she's on chemo for it and everything. But I was shocked to hear that she goes to sleep every night with the news on. She uses the news to put herself to sleep, and I thought, something's going through the airwaves into your body. Because I hear how vehement she is on her particular vision of what she sees in the world. Now, her views aren't necessarily different than mine. They're just angrier and more hopeless. Mine would be too if I went to sleep with the news on every night. Mine would be too if I listened past the general headlines on 10-10 wins just so I know what, if anything of note happened in the world. I think it's wise that I should be informed in case anything happened last night when I'm driving in. But I agree with this passage that I do choose my experience. There's a difference between that and my events. I don't choose all the events that are happening on the earth, but I do choose how to see them. I do choose what to think about them, all of them. If I have a thought about, well, probably everything I think of at least. I've thought about the sky, and I have thought about the floor. I've thought about these chairs. I've thought about every single person here. Every one of you. As I look at you, I guarantee you, there's a thought. I'm not even conscious of half these thoughts. Probably 3/4 of these thoughts. Now, maybe 90% of these thoughts I'm not even conscious of. But I know I'm having them. I have thoughts about the color yellow. I do. My thoughts about the color blue. I have thoughts. Anybody?
Yeah.
So, you're choosing them. Consciously or unconsciously, you're choosing them. And we're not here to put blame on each other. This isn't an exercise for guilt. Because guilt is foolish. There is no God, and not in our understanding, not in what we teach here at Unity or in my personal belief, that needs us to be guilty. That thinks it is somehow a virtue to be guilty. As I say, guilt is not redemption. The thought of love is redemption. The thought of peace, the thought of joy, the thought of what is redemption. The thought of what is temporary just delays our thought of redemption. And it's not God that we have to redeem ourselves with, it's ourselves that we have to redeem ourselves with, so that we can come into full conscious understanding of what we are, of these magnificent beings that we are. I didn't know I was a magnificent being for most of my life. I knew I had a lot of power, but I didn't know I was magnificent. Yeah, see, applaud from the back here. And I certainly didn't know that you were magnificent. Now, if I liked you, and a good way to get me to like you for most of my life was if you liked me. If you were nice to me, if you were kind to me, if you had a compliment, I like you. Why wouldn't I? And if you disagreed with me, well then we had a problem. I couldn't find the God in you, the Christ in you, the light in you. If you were disagreeing, if you found me less, it would seem, than a beloved child of God, less than this magnificence that I am, I didn't know what to do with people who were contrary. I didn't know what to do with people who were confused about me and themselves, of course. I didn't know what to do with people who hadn't accepted their own Christ light. I didn't know what to do because I had zero empathy. I had no awareness of anyone else going through a journey. All my choices I made around that were choices made in ignorance. I didn't understand mental illness. I didn't understand diseases. I didn't understand so much because it hadn't occurred to me yet to get understanding, as the Bible tells us. With all thy getting, get understanding, get wisdom. You know, get this. So I didn't understand oneness. I understood that you're over there and I'm over here. And that's what I kept choosing. I went with what was obvious in my understanding. So I kept choosing that we were separate, that we were not individuals, just separate, just different. We all had different faces, we had different clothes, we had different bodies, and we had different thinking. And I couldn't understand why more people didn't agree with me. And unfortunately, I agreed with a lot of people who had some lousy ideas, like my family. I agreed with a lot of them. One of their lousy ideas was that I was not magnificent. Anybody? Anybody grow up with people who did not recognize your magnificence? Did not recognize your beauty, your Christ spirit? Well, here's the thing. I can choose what to think about those people now. I have choices on what to think about those people. I could think that there was something wrong with them, or I can choose to love them. The only way I know in my choosing to love them and love myself is to go within and say, Spirit, tell me what to think about them. So I used to just tell myself what to think about things. And then I learned a few years ago, go to Spirit, what my friend called Holy Spirit, and say, Spirit, tell me what to think about this. Tell me what to think about this event that's on my mind. Tell me what to think about these people that are on my mind. Tell me what to think about the color yellow. Tell me what to think about the floor and the sky. Tell me what to think. I am open to all of these new thoughts. I am open to these true thoughts. And I found very often that when I asked, and I was remembering to ask frequently, like all day long, and even now, I still ask frequently, perhaps not as frequently as I did then, but I still look to that because I do want to know. But here's the funny thing. Often when you ask, you won't hear anything. There aren't words in truth, and the Spirit speaks in terms of truth. But I trust that if I ask, I have been told. I absolutely trust that if I have asked, I have been told. And so therefore what I often notice is 6 hours later, something will happen that would normally upset me, and it doesn't. I suddenly seem to have a clear perception, or a compassion, or an empathy later in my day. Why? Because I'm no longer confused in telling myself what yellow means. I'm no longer confused in telling myself what the sky and the floor means. And I'm not even telling myself what you mean, or what I mean. See, I don't need words to know the truth. I don't need them. They're unnecessary. We use words to communicate. But most of our words, let's face it, put us in a box. They limit us. That's why I can't really tell you what God is. I wish I could, because if I could tell you what God is, I could tell myself what God is. The problem is the words to describe God only limit God. The words to describe love, they can create a feeling, but they don't begin to let us in on the bigness of love. I can't tell you what life is. I grew up my whole life hearing that life is eternal, but somehow those people that preached it to me as a child made it sound like it started with this one. It was Eric Butterworth who said, what makes us think that eternal life started with this body? It's us boxing our faith in, boxing our spirituality in, when what we need to work on repeatedly is to expand it and to expand it till I don't need words. I'm just living it. I'm just living my spirituality. I'm just living it. Over the years, I've witnessed certain things that have taken place, and I marveled at it. Several years ago, I was getting ready to have a volunteer. I think it was the chaplains who were coming to my house for dinner from Connecticut in Norwalk. And it was 10 after 6. They were due at 6:30. I hadn't showered yet. Hadn't really started cooking yet. And I was over by the laundry room, and David opened the refrigerator, and a big glass casserole, it wasn't dinner, but a big glass casserole just fell out, smashed all over the floor. Well, David, you hear the, David looked at me and I said, let's just get a broom and sweep it up. And I had to look, I thought, who just came into the kitchen? Because that's nothing like me. That was so unlike me at that point, to not care. I didn't care, it was a dish. I couldn't even tell you what food was in it. But it didn't matter. Because suddenly there was no time. And if there was no time, then I couldn't be late, could I? In that moment, there was no time. Everything was going to happen beautifully. I mean, I'm having my prayer chaplain's over. I mean, am I really going to spend the evening upset and worried and agitated? Not that night I wasn't, and it was wonderful. It was just wonderful to realize, well, we'll just get a room, we'll clean it up, and we'll shower, and we'll have dinner, and we'll have a nice evening. I like those days a lot. I so like those days. Most of my days driving anymore, I don't fret. I really don't. It rattles me when people go really, really fast up the West Side Highway around me. But I don't hate them anymore. And I don't feel the need to punish them. And I don't wish them a ticket. I just notice, that rattles me when that happens. I don't like to be rattled. That's really what it comes down to. It's not about them speeding. It's about me being startled. I don't care to be startled. I have preferences in life. But I can choose what to think about the person speeding, about the person going too slow, about the being stuck in traffic. I can choose all of it. I can choose what to think about it being 9:30 or 10. I can choose. And not only that, I do choose. So as we are going through our days here, and our nights, and our next days, and all that stuff, to realize, I am choosing. What do I want to choose? Because too often, I think in this day and age, there's a lot of people thinking, I have to choose this way. I have to choose because I believe in the evil of some people. And I believe in it so much, I'm afraid to look and see if there's a Christ light in there. I'm so afraid to look at the newspaper and say, Spirit, tell me what to think and how to pray about this. I want to tell Spirit how to pray about it. I want to tell God what's wrong right here. That's my first reaction usually, and that's like, no, I don't. I don't want to convince God that anything is wrong. I don't want to convince Spirit. Spirit to me is what Jesus called the Comforter. I will send you a Comforter. Well, that didn't mean a blanket. I will send you a Comforter when I leave from here. I will send you a Comforter. Well, a Comforter isn't here to tell me what's wrong in the world. Comforter isn't even here to tell me what's wrong in me. The Comforter is that voice within me that tells me I have a Christ light, I have a Christ mind. The Comforter tells me I am loved with an everlasting love and cannot not be loved. And so is the person next to you. The person next to you and the people in the newspapers, they are all loved by God with an everlasting love and cannot be. We all have the same parent. And it's a mind. It's not a person, it's a mind. It is mind itself. We are all loved with an everlasting love. I'm not going into the whole prodigal son thing, but remember, the one that went to the far country was never not loved, even though he told himself he couldn't be loved for doing these things. Just as we often tell ourselves, I couldn't possibly be loved by God when I behave this way. And I know those people can't be loved by God when they do that. But the son who stayed home forgot he was loved. It's not that he took it for granted, he forgot. He saw the other one being taken care of and completely forgot that he was also loved. And the father said, what are you complaining about? You never left. You've always been right here beside me. You had access to everything. What's your problem? He forgot. Let's get busy reminding him so that he might never forget again. And so what if we started loving ourselves so much? So what if we would choose to start loving ourselves so much that we would never forget again? And we start loving some of our neighbors so much that they would never forget again. And I know how hard it is to love some of those neighbors. I have exceptions to this. I also know I'm choosing them, and I don't know exactly why I'm choosing them to be the exception for love. There's one that lives on my street that I've been holding out on since 2006. Crazy. Just crazy that I would do such a thing. But I will choose that until I don't choose it anymore. And so I'm kind and I'm compassionate about it. And I don't say, why me, God? Why can't I remember? And just now, saying that, I can hear, but Shawn, you do remember. You just said you remember, but you're not ready to let that thing go. My inner voice speaks quickly to me. And so it's like, oh, okay, I can't stay asleep for long, can I? And when I hear people talking about their politics, and when they're unkind, and I think, oh, this is what you're telling yourself about yourself. You're not just saying it about those other people, you're saying it about yourself. You're saying you live in a bad world. Well, how could I live in a bad world if I weren't bad myself? See, that's the part we're unconscious about. What I declare in a thing, I declare it for myself. I can't be I can't not be what I'm seeing. And so that's why I said we had better get busy. We had better get busy calling each other beautiful. We had better get busy calling the floor in the sky beautiful. We had better become very fond of yellow and blue and all the seeming opposites. Everything that's different, we better find a way to fall in love. You see, if we were to spread the joy from here all everywhere, if we did that, there would be no unjoyful people. And as I have said before, joyful people don't hurt other people. Joyful people don't try to take good from other people. Joyful people live well. No matter what the events, they are choosing to know God more than they want to know the world. More than they want to know the physicality, the body, any of that. First thing the chapter asked us is, do you want to be healed? Do you want your mind to be healed so that you could see what is rather than what's contrary to what is? Do you want your mind healed? Do you want your words healed? Do you want your actions healed? Do you want your body healed? We've taken on this body for some purpose that I have no idea. But I'm going to keep going as guided. Because I do keep asking, what's next? Okay, what's next? What's next? And I have a fairly irreverent sense of humor because I like to laugh. And I know what makes me laugh. But I do my best not to hate while I laugh. I laugh at the silliness of human nature. I laugh at how we act within our doubts. I laugh at all that stuff, and it offends people sometimes when I laugh, and I don't care. It's funny to me, but I try not to hurt anyone with my laughter. But I choose to laugh because I think it beats choosing to scream at people. I think it beats criticizing. I think it beats those choices. You know, to declare, love is awakened in me now. Life is awakened in me now. Joy is awakened in me now. The Christ in me is awakened now. Those are all choices to see. I don't have a choice of whether or not the Christ is in me. I don't have a choice whether or not love is in me. I don't have a choice on whether or not peace and joy. Those are innate qualities of God within me. I have a choice on how I perceive them. I have a choice in how I see them. And I have a choice as to what to do with them. You see, my innate qualities, I can use them or misuse them. What do you want? What do you want? I'm working on what I want today. And I'm passing along this message because they handed me a mic before I came on the stage. So it's my choice today to come out here and talk about this stuff. I'm very grateful that I would ever choose such a thing. There was a time I was embarrassed. I know people who are embarrassed by their church. I know people up in Connecticut that are just, they're embarrassed. They would be embarrassed to tell their business acquaintances that they go to church. They see it as weak. They see it as strange. But I'll tell you something. Those other religions, they're proud of their church. They're grateful. And they will invite their business acquaintances to their church because their God of their understanding is more important than their business. The God of their understanding is more important because they want everyone to be awakened. Now, I don't necessarily agree with all the stuff in their churches, but I do agree with their gratitude for their God, their gratitude for their church community, their gratitude that they want to know God better and better. When I'm in Kansas City, I remember when I was at Starbucks, and this group of men came in, and they all had their Bibles, and they were going to sit down and talk about their spirituality over their coffee. And I thought, wow, I've never done that with anybody from Unity. I remember years ago, I went to England with a Unity group from Lincoln Center. Paul led us, and we would pray every day when we left the hotel on the bus. I cried. I had never prayed with a group of people out in public in my life. And I thought, this group loves their God so much, they want to pray together. Nobody's embarrassed today. But the bus driver and the tour guide don't know us. We prayed anyway. We chose to love our God that day. And every day we were there. And I see people from other spiritualities, and they're not ashamed. They are proud and grateful for their God that they choose today. And they seem to want to know more about it. As long as we can keep choosing for God. I choose for God. I choose for peace. I choose for love. I choose for what I am for. And I am for the recognition of the good of all beings. So no, I don't know a lot about spirituality, but I know what I like. And I like us here together today, talking and contemplating this stuff. So thank you very much.
Storm can come and blow it all away. Build it anyway. You can chase a dream that seems so out of reach, and you know it might not ever come your way. Dream it anyway. When I pray, it doesn't believe it anyway. You can love someone with all your heart for all the right reasons, and in a moment they can choose to walk away. Love them anyway. God is great, but sometimes life ain't good. When I pray, it doesn't always turn out like I think it should. But I do it anyway. I do it anyway. You can pour your soul out singing a song you believe in, that tomorrow they'll forget you ever sang. Sing it anyway. Yes, sing it anyway. I sing, I dream, I God is great.
Sharon,